Welcome everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how I gamified Schoology. For this app project, I really wanted to figure out a way to make, the mobile Schoology app into a gaming option. There's a lot of options that Schoology gives you, and I knew somewhere hidden inside there were some settings to help me turn it into a game. And after careful consideration and thinking about everything I've done this year with Schoology, I finally figured it out. So, I called this game Quest of Champions, and this is just a generic name. It probably deserves a much cooler game than that, but I'm going to show you what I did. So what I did was first is this year we had created unit exams online. We took all of the Baltimore County unit tests for 8th grade American history, and we put them online so that they were digital. And this was great because then we could just give the tests and they could grade automatically or grade very quickly. All of them consist of mostly multiple choice, some matching, things like that, and then a few written questions at the end. We took the written questions out for this and purposes of this app, and all that's left is a collection of over 125 total questions for all 6 units for the entire year. So what I did was I created a big bank. This big bank has 125 total questions, all from units 1 through 6 throughout the entire year. So the big bank is going to be used to make my kind of trivia, kind of U.S. history knowledge game. It's a practice game so that they can test their general knowledge of U.S. history. This is not supposed to be anything too advanced. This is supposed to be something that's more enjoyable. It's practice, and it's going to help them, test their basic knowledge of the history facts and history concepts and reading a primary source, things like that we have been working on the entire year. And so we have the big bank, and what I did was I created levels 1, 2, 3 all the way through 10. And then what I did was I started adding them to a folder in my unit period 2 class called Quest of Champions. So in the folder, I've got each level. And this is what was really cool about creating this thing, because inside each level, inside each one that I created, it allows you to add questions randomly. So what I'll do is I'll show you. So you can create a add test question. I can set my max points to say like 10 points. I can name it level 11. I'm going to delete this in a second. And when I add it, I can add questions from my question bank. So this is what was really cool. I added random questions. And when I do add random questions, I can go all the way back to my big bank, just click on the big bank of over 125 questions. I can tell it that, let's say for level 11, I want just 10 questions and each one worth 1 point. I added the questions. And it tells you that it's going to add a random set of 10 questions worth 1 point each out of the 125 question bank. And this was really awesome. And I previewed it, and I kept getting the same, set of questions. And so I was curious, does this, is this random questions for everybody each and every time? And the answer is yes. What I did was I looked on the website, and it says down here at the bottom, where my cursor is right now, that each student in the course receives a unique set of questions. Even if a student receives a few of the same questions, they will appear in a different order. No assessment is alike. This is helpful in maintaining the validity of your quiz results. This is from How to Add Random Selection of Questions. So why is that important? Well, because when I go back here to my bank and I have each level is going to pull randomly from the 125. So what I did was I made each level more and more questions. So let's go take a look at it from the class page. So the students can click on Quest of Champions. They can go through each level. Level 1 has 10 questions. Level 2 has, 20 questions. 3 has 30, all the way up through level 8. 8 has 80 questions. Level 9, you have to score, it has 100 questions, and level 10 has all 125 questions. It has all 125 questions. So students can start in level 1 and they can make it all the way up to level 10. That's not all. There's even more to it than that. There's some really cool stuff that I did. So first thing I did was in the settings for each quiz, I made the attempt limit unlimited. I made the order of the questions random again. So not only are they getting random from the 125, but they're getting random inside. It's going to be totally random. There's no way each person is going to get unique, totally the same quiz. Then at the end, they can resume. They can resume this anytime. So if they get kicked out or their Wi-Fi isn't working or something like that, they can come back to it. And then at the end, most importantly, they can view with correct answers so they can keep getting better and better. So the settings are there perfectly, and so they can continue doing really well on level 1. And the last thing that I added that was really cool is the student progress. In Schoology, it allows you to force students to go level by level, or assignment by assignment in the order that you want to do. So I'll show you what I did. I clicked on student progress or student completion. Sorry, that's what it's called, student completion. It's loading because there's a lot. And so I was able to make the settings what I wanted to do. And so in general, I wanted it so to move on from level 1, I wanted them to score at least 70%, get a 7 out of 10. And I did the same thing all the way up from level 2 to level 8. So level 8, 56 out of 80 is still 70%. Then when we get to level 9, we're seeing 100 questions. This is 100 total questions. Now, by this point, this is the same question bank. So they have seen these 100 questions, a lot now. If they've made it up through level 7, 8, they're seeing over half of the questions now, 2/3 of the questions. So at a level 100, they should know some of these questions by now. Memorize them if they have been paying attention, and so they have to score at least a 90 here. And then at the end, level 10, to win the entire game, they have to score at least 120 out of 120. I'm missing only 5 questions out of all of them. Now, and the key here is that I clicked this little box here that was requirements must be completed in sequential order. This is crucial so that they have to move from level 1 to level 2 all the way up to level 10. And so I have this set up so that they can move all the way up to the top. So it's really truly a quest going all the way from level 1 to level 10. So let's take a look at what it looks like from the student view, because this is a project about a mobile app. So what I did was I took some screenshots from online in the app. Now, my app is slightly different than what the students will see, but we can get the idea right here. So this is my first screenshot. And so theirs wouldn't have all this, settings, results, comments, all of that on here. It'll just have start new attempt. And so they can start new attempt. They can go through the questions. Here's what the questions look like on their point of view, and they and here's what the levels look like from their point of view. And it even has, must score 7, must score 14. So they know exactly what they have to get to go all the way up through the top. So, and what was the last thing I had? Oh, one more thing. The questions. Some of these questions are totally random. I want to go through and look at some of these questions and show you some of the questions on here that are quite unique. So I go to the big bank, we've got political cartoons, we've got maps, charts, paintings from back in the day. We've got plenty of primary source quotes. Some of them are multiple choice, some of them are matching, some of them are analyzing different things. So there's a whole bunch of visuals in here that they have to look at and take analyze, paintings, things like that, maps, especially local cartoon. So it's very diverse set of questions, and these are again taken straight from the county unit test. So by this point they should have seen them. And the entire point of this is to create something that's really cool, so that they can practice all of their content knowledge from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, and beyond that, while they're practicing, make it into something that is competitive. And students will be able to you'll be able to see their scores and you'll be able to track them, and you can track them as a class and have fun, and you can say like, hey, I'm on level 3 and my friend's only on level 2, and oh, I scored if this level 3 has 30 questions, oh, I scored a 29 out of 30, or you scored a 28 out of 30. And the last thing I thought would be really neat would be to add some badges. So I started creating some. I didn't go too far in it because you have to add them individually, but I made this folder right here called badges, and you could assign these badges to the students. So it says, congratulations, you defeated the boss, continue your quest. And so I can click that and I can assign to a student. I can click that and I can make it, within the system, I can assign students a level 1 badge when I go in and check that they have completed level 1. And Schoology makes it so you can make the quiz graded or non-graded, or you can just make it practice, whatever you want to do. But I thought it'd be really cool, and I tested it on the mobile, and it works perfectly. So any time of the day, I made the settings so that they can come on, anytime. There's no time limit. It's resumable. They can come on, they can practice with their app, and they can move from level 1 to level 10. And I thought, what a cool game. And Schoology had all of these settings built in. What it made me think of is, Mortal Kombat. When Mortal Kombat, you have to like defeat the ladders of all the opponents, and at the end you get to the final boss, and the final boss is the hardest. So this is kind of the same idea. They move all the way up, and there's way more potential. You could connect this to some kind of lore. You could connect it to like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or some fantasy thing where level 1 is some boss and level 2 is another boss and level 10 is the final boss. You could get really creative and call these not level 1 but some kind of really cool, fantasy adventure game boss. So I thought this was really neat, and I tested it out and it works great. So and it works perfectly like a game. Quest of Champions. Check out the Schoology feature of question banks and using question banks with the app. Enjoy.